Iggy, your internet's going in and out.
Oh no, my internet's going in and out. Well, we're live now, so now we're good.
Oh well.
I hope we're good.
Yeah.
I hope we're good. Skittles, are we good? Skittles says that we're good. My unicorn Skittles says that we're good. So I think we're going to be okay. Today, welcome to the Misfit Toys Comedy live stream. We have the talented and beautiful Lin Sun and the amazingly talented and hilarious Pauline Yasuda. Hello, hello, snap, 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 some jazz hands. So we always start the show to breakfast and BITCH. We're reclaiming the word. We're spelling it out, not saying it. What's bizarre, ironic, terrifying, crazy, or hard in your life right now? Because you know what? Life is a struggle. And if you weren't struggling, you're gonna be 6 feet under the ground. So, Lynn, what did you have for breakfast? What's your favorite breakfast? And what's BITCHing in your life?
Like literally what I had for breakfast? Is that literally?
Or you can tell me your favorite that you wish you had.
Oh, well, you know what I had today? I had Cambodian food. Because it's Cambodian New Year.
What's Cambodian? See, this is why we have the show. So that people can know. Number one, you gotta explain where Cambodia is.
I don't know. I wasn't born there.
I love it. She's like, I don't know where Cambodia is. I was not born there. Just because I'm Asian does not mean I know where Cambodia is.
I don't. Okay. So Cambodia is right near Vietnam in Asia. So I know that. And near Thailand. I was born in Thailand. So I was born in the refugee camps on the way to America when my parents immigrated. Let's see. So Cambodian food. I had a sour soup with beef. And I had a Cambodian sausage with rice and coffee. And what's BITCH in my life right now is being a stay-at-home mom to a 4-year-old this whole pandemic.
It's so funny that I was like, you know what? We've learned so. I put the microphone on. We've learned so much during this pandemic, right? Like we've grown so much. We learned that, like, unconditional love exists when schools exist. Unconditional love is conditional to the 8 hours a day that you are not in my house.
I know it's Pauline, rough. Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. I mean, that's why I have children. I have nieces and nephews, and I used to run a child care or a camp, a summer camp for kids where I could just like tag, you're it. I have a 4-hour limit. I have a 4-hour limit, and then I'm like, tag, I'm out. Pauline, breakfast and BITCH.
Breakfast, I had like white people breakfast. Sorry, like salmon on a onion bagel with cream cheese.
That's Jewish breakfast. Yeah, Jewish breakfast.
Oh, okay, Jewish breakfast. Because I went to Costco and I felt fancy and bought salmon. I guess what's BITCH in my life is I felt so bad for my mom because she told me that because of all this Asian hate stuff going on. She's older Asian lady. She told me she was afraid to go for like walks in our neighborhood, and I find that, and that's just like terrible. Like she should be able to feel comfortable just being out and about in her neighborhood, I mean, I ended up thinking like, though the real thing is, it's like, she walks outside her door and she hears like this guy yelling at her, go back to where you came from. You're a terrible person. I have to tell her that's dad. So just stop walking in front of his house. That's just it's not Asian hate. It's just I hate my wife hate. But no, but seriously, she is scared. She truly is scared to go out. But a lot of the hate comes from my dad. So
shout out to Cassidy. Oh my goodness, she's one of the Misfit boys. We love her. What's going on? Oh, I always go back to your country. And I talk about this actually in my comedy because I was like, everyone called me Eeyore when I was growing up, like, the donkey from Winnie the Pooh, and I'm always like, when they say go back to your country, I'm like, unless your name starts with an animal and ends with a verb like crying donkey, then you're an immigrant and you need to go back to your country. Because it's like once it's I don't know how it's like they get into the club and they're like, okay, no more. No. We're in. Like everybody's an immigrant. That's what made this place so amazing is but I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Pauline, where are you from? What's your ethnic background?
Well, my country's actually, and my dad, who is Japanese American, he's not technically Japanese because I think he went once for like a vacation to Japan once, but he was born here in LA. I was born here in LA. So my mom is from Korea, though. She moved here when she was like about 30-ish or something like that. So
you're Korean, Japanese American, but really you're from LA.
Totally. My dad's he went to Hollywood High. Like, I mean, come on. I think like Carol Burnett was in his class like 2 years below him. Like she's in his yearbook. Like,
oh, that's
he's
amazing.
like the whitest person I know, but like he's Asian. He looks very Asian.
I mean, this whole, I can't even say the word, but it's like I've never understood where this discrimination came from, where this misunderstanding or hate or what was I never got it. But right. Did you feel that growing up, Pauline, like in LA, or is it because like, because what people don't understand is that Los Angeles is the modern day Constantinople, Istanbul. It is the junction between the West and the East. And so Los Angeles is now what, Constantinople was several hundred years ago. It is that junction. And so it is the bridge between the East and the West. And did you find growing up in this modern day Constantinople pushback?
It's really weird. I think growing up in Los Angeles was its own like really weird, strange bubble because I never really felt any type of like discrimination or anything to a certain degree as a little kid because everybody was so different. Like I went to public school, you go there, there's Hispanic kids, there's Black kids, there's Indian kids, like there's every race inside your class. And it's like white was not necessarily the dominant race per se within the classroom because it was just like this magical mix like all through school. And I think it was in college. I remember this statistically. I went to a Dave Matthews Band concert, which is a whole nother issue. And I remember I was walking back to the car with my sister and just out of nowhere, they were far away from us. We didn't even make eye contact or anything. I just heard these people yell at us like, look at those chinks. And it was like, that was the first time like I think someone had used a racial slur on me and that was around college time. And it was just one of those, and I was like, it was so jarring. And because it was also like a Dave Matthews Band, like, why are there, like, it was just, the whole thing was just like so weird and just like gross feeling. And I think it was one of those things where I was like, I can't imagine. And it's why I have like so much empathy for everything going on in the world right now. I feel like it's because like it was such a disgusting, like horrible feeling. And I can't imagine people who have to feel that like on a day-to-day basis. Like it took me up until like college to hear that. And I can't imagine hearing that from like childhood.
When someone yells something like that, when you're walking and a slur like that comes out and you're going in your, like, can you break it down the feeling and then what is the response? Do you go up to them? Do you just swallow it down? Do you pretend it didn't happen? How did you react in that moment?
I mean, I think I was so taken aback by it. And I was like, I think my first feeling was that it can't be directed towards me.
See, I would have been like, oh, is he talking about my cheeks? Like, I would have been like, no, he can't be possibly saying cheeks, right? Cheeks. You have these beautiful cheeks. Like, you have these beautiful high cheekbones. So I was like, oh, he must be talking about my high cheek. Like, I would have misunderstood it in a positive way, probably.
It was, I think now it's very different. I think then I just pretended like I didn't hear it or like, was kind of like, oh, whatever. Or I think it was with my sister. We both were just kind of like laughed it off or something. But it was like just a really, I don't know, Lynn, if you've ever come across something similar where it just makes you feel like.
Yeah, what is it? I want to hear that. Like, what does it feel like when someone just yells out something about your outside that you have no control over, that doesn't even know you or any, like, what was that feeling?
I think it's just mostly like depression that anyone could have that kind of hate. I guess it's like, I think when it's completely like, not, I didn't initiate anything or like do anything. And you could just, I don't understand why it just that can exist. It just makes me very sad for humanity, I guess, is
but really. I think there you go. The random, unfounded hate that also, number one, surprised you out of nowhere.
Right.
Mhm.
Because it'd be different if you like walked into like a KKK rally and they start yelling, you're kind of expecting that. So you're like in this like wholesome
Which I do all the time, by the way.
All the time. All the time. And so I think there's a doubling of there's the surprise of the randomness and the incongruency of the situation, and then also the kind of like, what, you didn't even give me a chance. Like at least talk to me and like let me prove to you that I'm an asshole. Like don't just let me prove to you that I'm a jerk without just judging me. Without, hi mom, do you want to come and talk to us? Hi mom, my mom came to visit. She's like, she heard us talk about hate, and so she came in the room. What did you want? I can't hear you. What? I love my mom because she like totally bombs all my shows. Ma, Izzy, go. I love you, mommy. I love you. I know. I already texted them. I love you.
I like his flowers and his shoes.
Oh yeah. See, okay. So talking about hate, right? This is my best friend Vidal. He was wearing these shoes from college. He's in Puerto Rico, and he was gay, and he was the dean of discipline in the Bronx, and he was unapologetically gay. And so if someone yelled out a racial slur like, "Oh, you faggot," he's like, "Bitch, who you calling a?" He didn't swallow it down and pretend it didn't happen. And so one night when he was coming back home from school, he lived in Harlem, downstairs from my brother and my sister-in-law. And someone started yelling slurs at him, and he talked back, and they followed him home and shot him in his apartment because he was unapologetically himself. And I keep these boots up here to remind me to be unapologetically myself. And when those moments happen, I fight. This is why I created Misfit Toys Comedy. This is why we do what we do, so that this doesn't happen again. And his legacy isn't for nothing. That people who are unapologetically themselves, people who don't take the hate, but say something, can do it and survive. And I not to get all dark and everything, but that's why I put on these little fake IKEA flowers in here because, you know, we love, like, and I remember it was so cute. These are the first, because we were both scholarship kids at Georgetown, you know, like we were both immigrant scholarship kids, right? And I remember we went to the Pentagon City and I don't know if I should say this, but we didn't have a lot of money. So I stole my sister's Care Bear and I opened up its bottom, took out the stuffing, and I put a bunch of weed in there. And that's how we paid for books and stuff. And I would smuggle weed across from Denver to DC. And we bought these Steve Madden shoes, and I got a pair too from all the weed that we sold. And we were like, "Ooh, we're like rich kids now. We're going to be all cool." And so it's like, this was like, we made it. Like we made it, you know, we made it to Georgetown. We got our nice shoes. We got our thing. We did it. We did it. Lynn, have you felt any of that pushback? Have you felt any of that hate? Any of that? Like, when was the first time that someone ever just judged you without foundation, just randomly?
Okay. So to be 100% open with all of you, I've never felt personally discriminated because I'm Asian. I've never felt that.
That's great.
Growing up. Yeah, I never felt it. If anything, I've always gotten jobs and such because I'm Asian, because they automatically need that diversity, or you know what I mean? So, and even if that was the case, I never took it negatively. I was never like, "Oh, I'm the only Asian here. Oh, where's everybody else?" I just was in my own, like you said, I spin everything to like a positive thing for myself. So then I'm like, "Oh, cool. You know, at least they have diversity here now." But I do know that it exists, and I saw it on Facebook today, where this lady was saying something about how Asians and Muslims are sneaking into the North from Canada, and it's horrible or something like that. And I was like, "What is she talking about? Like, what is so wrong?" So I usually don't interact with ignorance. Usually, when someone's ignorant, I just let it go, because why am I going to argue with ignorance? You know what I mean? They'll figure it out. But today I saw it and I was like, but sincerely, I truly want to understand what she's talking about, you know, right? Because I'm open to hearing your point of view, right?
Yeah.
So then I commented and I said, "Hi," I was like, "I'm Asian, and I would just like to know your point of view about what's wrong with Asians. Like, what's wrong with us? Why? From what I know, we don't bother anybody. Like we go." Like, we're quiet, you know what I mean? We just go to work, we want to make money, and then we go home. Like, from what I know. It's not that I know the whole world, but from what I know. So I asked her that. I commented back to her, and I said, I'd like to know your point of view. Thank you. And I don't know. She hasn't replied back. So I don't know, but I'm open to hearing it, to talk maturely about it, because I don't know
creating
everything.
a space where we can actually let's just create the space. I'm not saying we're going to change the world in one talk, but at least create that space.
Right.
Has your daughter felt anything?
My daughter?
Well, I know Lynn has a daughter too.
Oh, I have a son. He just has.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a son. I'm sorry. I don't know. I apologize.
No,
you have a very
it
beautiful
happens
son.
all the time.
You have a very beautiful son, because I see the pictures of the thing, and never mind. He is amazing. So has he felt? I feel so embarrassed. I feel like he's ready to flowers right now.
It happens all the time.
Lynn, I feel so embarrassed. Oh my God.
Iggy's all red. Iggy's turning red. Iggy's like, but I have long hair. I have long hair. Iggy's like, my hair's long.
No, I love your son. Just don't look at me right now. He is so, because I saw some posts on Facebook on social. I was like, oh, he is so cute. Has he felt any pushback from the kids on the playground or anything like that?
No, he hasn't.
No. See, that makes me feel good now. I'm like,
but I feel like, though, I don't know, because my daughter's 7, so she's a little bit older than your son. But like, I'm like sometimes like, oh my God, like, am I raising a racist child? Because I'm not joking. This happened today. We're in the car. Because we were my family's coming over to watch Minari, the movie about Korean Americans. And I'm like, okay, my auntie's coming over and we're going to watch Minari. And she's like, oh, you mean the movie about the Chinese people? I'm like, dude, they're not Chinese. And she's like, well, grandma's from China. I'm like, no, grandma's Korean. I'm like, oh my God. Like, what have you?
You're raising.
I'm raising like a freaking, she can't tell the difference between the Asian. I'm like, you talk with your grandma like every single day. She's Korean. And we talk about Korea, you eat kimchi because that's what she makes. And she's like, well, grandma's from China. And
it's the same thing, right? China, Korea, it's the same.
I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I could tell her 100 times and she will always like default to China or like, I'm Chinese, or I'm like, I'm not, what have I done?
You're like, I feel like a failure as a mother. I'm raising this like geographically ignorant Chinese, Korean. What are you, child? I'm dying laughing. I'm dying.
It's terrible, but it's true.
What got you into comedy, Pauline? When was your first moment that you're like, oh, I'm going to do, because you've won so many contests. You've been on so many different stages. You've done so and you have such what I love is that you're so bold in your comedy, and what you do on stage is so daring. But yet on the outside, again, talking about perception, it creates this incongruency, this contrast, which I think also, helps amplify the laughter in the room, because you are so just boom, courageous compared to you come on. So like, oh, I'm just this powerhouse that's going to shock and make you laugh. And I love it so much. But when did you know that this was a thing you could do?
I've always loved doing comedy, like for as long as I can remember. And then when I went to college, came back, and then I was like, oh, I should do sketch comedy, because I wanted to do acting, and like we were supposed to do like some type of improv work to do commercials or something. So I joined this group and was working with them doing sketch comedy and stuff. But then the whole company folded. They just like disappeared off the face of the planet, because I don't know if you know this, but like when you do improv and sketch, you don't make money. The whole thing kind of fell apart. And then I just stopped doing comedy completely, because I'm like, I'm not joining another group. I'm not finding a bunch of people. Like, I'm too lazy to do that.
Well, also,
and I had always told myself I was
comedy are the same, but they're not. Like improv and stand-up are not the same.
Oh no, they're not at all. But I think what happened was I missed just being funny. And I always told myself I would never, ever, ever do stand-up comedy ever. And then I got I was working as a teacher. I got laid off. I had nothing to do. And I was like, I'm just going to see what happens. Like, let's just, I'll take a class and then I'll probably never do it again, but I'll kick it off my bucket list. But, you know, and I'm sure Lynn and you both understand when you go on stage and you have a great set, it's like crack, right? You keep going back, right? You can't stop. So, I mean, like, that's how it started. And all the time I'm like, I'm going to quit. And then I can't, it's a terrible addiction. It's a terrible addiction.
Like, I stopped comedy for several years and I was like, okay. And I opened a resort in Baja, Mexico, this eco off the grid resort. And when the pandemic hit and people, you know, travel, everything shut down, I created Misfit Toys Comedy as a way to create community and also a way to empower, you know, diverse voices. And I was like, I'm cool. I just want to be the coach and just teach. And I've been in this game for a second. I know the game. And then I did a live show once things started opening up and I'm like, oh yeah, this is what it's like. And I'm like doing shows again and again and again. And I was like, no, I'm done with comedy. I'm good. I just want to sit back and like educate and help people. And I get on stage and I'm like, oh, when can I do it again? So I totally feel that, Pauline. I totally feel that. Lynn, tell us about your initiation to comedy.
Let's see. I was 38. So I started when I was 38, like 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago. And I started because I became a mom. And I was like, well, if I'm a mom, what's harder? What can be harder than being a mom? No, serious. That's literally my thought process. I'm like, if I can be a mom, I can do stand-up, right? Like, I don't know what's harder than being a parent. So like Pauline, I took a class too. I did Pretty Funny Women. And then I took Bobby Oliver's Dow Comedy studio class.
I love Bobby's perspective on comedy.
Right. And she's the one who said, be authentic, be yourself. You know, so it gave me the courage to talk about my past and my 2-night stand and whatever, and turn all that BS into stand-up. And because I was able to do that, I think that's what set me apart in the beginning, because I was able to just talk about my past without any, like, I was uninhibited about it.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, when I went on stage the first time and got laughs, and I was like, oh, shoot. But I didn't know what was funny about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't understand, like, I knew how to write a joke or whatever. I was just like, oh, I guess. And then when I went on stage, I remember thinking, I guess the audience is just really supportive.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And
you know, yeah.
You're like, this audience just has a weird Asian fetish. It's
they're like, I'm like, I guess because listen, honestly, at a grad show, we all know about grad shows. It's all friends and family. So grad shows, everyone's laughing and they're having a good time, and then I just think it's just friends and family, you know. So I just thought it was overly supportive. But then I remember Bobby told me, she's like, no one's that supportive. Like, they're not giving you an applause break to be nice. You know what I mean? Like, they were moved to clap their hands, you know? I love it. So that's how I started.
When I started comedy, they didn't teach me that. I started from the outside in, learning about the structure and how to make the laugh. And so I wrote initially for the audience, what would I think would make them laugh? And only recently in my comedy journey have I written from the inside out, from my truth, from what I think is from the inside out, from the emotion, from the real, and it's been a completely transformative experience. And I had a fair amount of success before, but I never got off the stage feeling it filled up my pockets, and it felt good to, have people clap for you, but didn't fill up my soul. I was like, oh, that cost me, but yay, okay, great, I'm funny, I'm the thing. But doing it this way around from the inside out has completely transformed how I see comedy and and how I perform. And then, what about you, Pauline?
The journey? You mean the journey in terms of?
Yeah, like do you when you write from the inside out? Did you start from the outside in? How do you approach comedy?
I think it was similar to Lynn, where he's told to write about my experiences. I think the hardest transition for me was when I had a kid, because I had you develop this type of persona on stage that I feel like is part of you, and then like the person that you're selling on stage. And it took several years for me to make the transition from being like the comedian who didn't have a kid to then the comedian who then is doing like more like mom material, more like family. It was a really, really, really difficult transition for me. And I was like completely lost, I felt like, on stage for like what I felt like. And I watched like clips of me in that transitional period. And I'm like, why am I like, because I was trying to figure out who I was on stage and like how to deliver the material. I'm like, why am I so angry? Like, why do I look so like full of rage? And I thought like maybe that was my persona. Like, and I don't know. It's just like very weird. Like I look at this stuff and I'm like,
it's one of those things we talk about, like art mirroring life and vice versa, where you're like figuring out as a mom, what is it to be a mom? Because you hear, you know, again, I'm not a mom by any means, but I know that there's a change that happens between the world telling you what it's like to be a mom, and then once it actually happens, and then am I living up to this standard of what the society has told me to be? Am I good enough? And you are figuring that out. Am I wrong? Am I right? Tell me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, and it's a journey, and it's like it's especially with comedy, a trajectory. And like, I think you mature and you develop in your writing. You know, I think in the beginning for me, like it was very simple to be like, oh, I look really cute, but here are my like really dirty jokes. And like, and then, you know, I mean, so it's like very easy just to write like a bunch of like, here's all this like horrible, dirty stuff, but look at me, I'm cute. And then I had a kid, and then it's like the slow, I'm like, well, who am I? Like, I'm not like, I don't want to do all that
nasty
stuff.
mom.
Like,
yeah. You're like, I'm not
right.
a dirty,
Like,
nasty
I mean,
mom.
I could be, that's fine. But I was like, but I'm like, I don't want to do, like, there was this like weird period where I was like, the material kind of didn't match who I was on stage and who I was on. It was just like this big friggin' mess where I'm like, I felt like, I'm going to bomb all the time because I can't figure out how to present this material properly or in the right voice. And it just felt like, I'm like, what am I doing? Like it was just this very weird, strange.
It sounds, we talk about it actually in class, where congruency, especially now, is so important, that what your material and what you talk about on stage is congruent with who you are and what you believe off stage. And now with social media, etc., it has to match up. And when there is, you know, incongruency, there's a disconnect. And it sounds like that's what was going on, where you had this one persona that had this momentum. Here comes mom and child, and now there's an incongruency in who you were on stage and then who you are at home. And it took several beats before it synced up again. Is that right, Pauline?
Yes. I mean, there were some definite, like, what I feel like were like learning moments. Like, I feel like every
give us some of those learning moments. I want to hear.
Like, I did this, I was featuring for the show in Pachanga casino. Maybe it wasn't. It was definitely a casino type environment where I was featuring. There was a headliner, and I just felt like I dealt this one joke, and it landed like a turd. Like, to me, it felt like it was like the worst possible joke. Like, they didn't understand it, and then I felt like I had lost the audience. It was like, and it was like, you know, you're featuring, so it's like a half hour. I think I told that turd joke at around the 10-minute mark. So for like 20 minutes, I'm like, everybody hates me. Here I am on stage, and it was just like horrific and horrible. And but I was like with the same headliner for the whole week, and you know, I would watch his set, and I'd be like, I felt like this with all the headliners when I was featuring. I'm like, you know, these headliners just go up and they're just always consistent. They're always good. They always kill. Like, why is that? And like, how is that? And it's like, I was thinking, it took me like so long but I thought about this like endlessly. Like, why is it that like they never seem to bomb? Because then I talked to him afterwards, and he's like, oh no, like that audience was terrible. The one that I thought I bombed with, he's like, I bombed too. And I'm like, it didn't seem like it from where I was. And I think what I took away from it, took a very long time for me to realize it, is it's like, wait a second, like, I don't want to say that the audience doesn't matter, because they do. They're like a huge part of it. It's a connection, and they are 100% like a part of it. But I also had to say to myself, you know what? I belong on stage. Like, I deserve to be here. This is when I'm on stage, I deserve it. Like, I'm funny. Whether you like me or maybe we don't jive, but I still, whether you like me or not, I deserve to be here. Like this is my
You've
space.
Earned that space. You've earned
yes,
that.
and it's like I'm like it's okay. Like it's okay if I tell a turd of a joke every once in a while, or even if it's the whole set. Like it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters is I deserve to be here. I don't know how to explain it, but it like kind of changed the way that I approach getting on stage now and doing the work. It was like very transformative, but it took like a very long time to learn. And I wish that if I could go back on my journey to say like, you deserve, even if the audience doesn't connect with you or doesn't like you, or you feel like you're bombing, it's like, you still deserve to be here.
So why do you deserve? Why you personally, Pauline? Because I would love to unpack this, because I have something. But why do you say that you deserve? Because you do the work? Because like what is it about it that makes, because there's a lot of entitled comedians that are like, I deserve to be on stage. I'm like, girl, no, you do not. No,
I think it's this thing though, like where it is a self-confidence thing, like, and you can see it on stage. You can't connect with someone who, like, I feel like is like on, like, you feel like they're flailing. Like, it's not the audience's job to save me. Like you shouldn't feel like you're drowning and they have to save you. That's not their job. They're supposed to be like like comfortable and you're supposed to put them at ease. They shouldn't feel bad for you or like, like, because when I watch comedy and I feel bad for the person on stage, it's like the worst feeling on the planet, right?
I hate when comics come up and it's like they expect the audience to be their chair. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to give.
Right.
You're supposed to give. The audience should get 80. You should get 20. If the audience is giving you 80, it's an AA meeting.
Exactly.
So for me, it was speaking my truth on stage. If I get up and what I'm saying is my truth and resonates with me, whether or not you think it's funny, it's my truth. It's what I wanted to say. I came up here to say something and I'm going to say it. Whereas before I came up to say what I thought they would want to, like, oh, are they gonna like, wait. No. I get up there with a point of view and something to say, whether it resonates with you or not, but I can get off stage feeling good that I said what I had to say. And so, but having that confidence in your voice, in your mission, in your point of view, then yes, you deserve to be on stage. I think that's amazing. Lynn, what Pauline said, does that resonate with you?
I resonate more with what you just said, where you say, because it's more about how I felt about the set. Does that make sense? And it is taking me, and I know Pauline's so much more experienced and seasoned and everything else than I am. So I think I'm kind of where you were, where it's like, I still have to battle with I deserve to be here and my self-doubts and etc. Even if I have this thing where even if I was the best on the lineup, I will still think that I did not kill. You know what I mean? I would still be like, no, but what about the echo and the tech, or what about that one word that I didn't say correctly? Like I still do that. That's why I drink before show. So then I'm not. So I don't care about the mechanics. Like when I drink, I have more fun, and I'm not worried about every word. So yeah, and then if I feel good about the set that I did, then it doesn't matter to me as much about anything else. Like I have to feel good about it. I always rate myself after every show.
Yeah, no, but
I'm always like, oh, I did a 5 out of 10, or I did an 8 out of 10, or a 9 out of 10, as long as I'm happy with it. But not to a point where I'm delusional, where it's like I bombed, but I'm like, I'm a 10 out of 10. Like, I don't do that.
There's some people that get off stage and they're in the green room. And they're like, that was awesome. And I'm like, do you have ears? Like, do you even like have a concept of the thing? Like I'm sitting there, like I'm thinking they're gonna get off stage like crying, like, oh my God. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like,
they're like, yeah, nailed it. But like just because you did, like my friend made up this quote. She's like, just because you didn't bomb doesn't mean you killed. You know what I mean? Just because you got giggles, you know what I mean? Like
totally.
So anyway, I'm like way too hard on myself. But yeah, as long as
you are. Is that an Asian thing? Am I being racist?
It might be.
I mean, I don't know. Pauline's laughing, so I think it means it's on. Like, is it an Asian thing that you're like, because there's this thing that they call it tiger mom, right? Where it's like that it comes from a certain level of.
I don't know if it. I mean, I do feel, and I don't know again if this is an Asian thing, but I do feel like I have a tendency to undervalue myself, which is why I think I have to say that I deserve, why it's taken me so long to say that I deserve to be up there. Because for a long time, I'm like, well, when I say I don't deserve to be up there, I mean, it's because I'm undervaluing my work and my worth. Like, oh, there's better they could have put up somebody better, or this person's better than me, or it's just me undervaluing what I do. And then like constantly, and it is, but I think like when you are used to achieving a lot, it's like also then constantly comparing yourself. And it's like, why am I comparing myself to other? I can only be me. And there's a million comedians. There's enough space for all of us. Like,
can you say that one more time so we can get that soundbite?
Oh, what?
There's a million comedians and there's enough space for all of us. Can you just say that one more time?
There are a million comedians and there's enough space for all of us because we each have our own individual voices. So there's no reason to say like, well, that person was better or that person was worse. And it's a stupid comparison. It doesn't even matter because at the end of the day, like I have to let my material, I guess, shine through. And I have to do what I think is best. And then then that's it. Like I know I do competitions and all this other stuff, but it's once you get to a certain point, it's irrelevant comparing. Like we're all good. There's no, we're doing it because I think you need credits and you need this and you need this. But for me, like winning is not really to say like I'm the best comedian.
So we're all good, you're on stage, you're all made into the competition, you all are at a certain level, right? So then why are you doing this? What sets you apart from them for you? Like, why do you get up on stage? Do you get up for yourself because it just makes you feel good? Or do you get up with like a mission to shift perspective? Like why, what propels you to get on stage?
I think it's twofold. I think the first reason is I think what the pandemic has taught me is that, and then I have done one live show it's been like a year and several months since I did a live show. And it's like, I realized after I did that live show that like, I have to do it. Otherwise I will, I don't think mentally I need to have that outlet. Like if I don't do it, like I will or it has to be something, I have to find something else because for me mentally, I have to do it. And I don't know how to explain it. It's not therapy because I go to therapy. So something else entirely, but I need to have that outlet. But then the second thing is, it's like, I just did this fundraiser yesterday. And, the woman afterwards was like, oh man, like that was great because I could it felt like I was hearing my story's being told, she was like, I don't do comedy. So I feel like, the more people you can say that I hear your story, we're relating to each other so that, my story isn't just my story. Many people have that story. And if I have the ability to disseminate it and other people can hear it, then it leads to like more, I feel like, empathy, understanding, it's funny, we can all get along type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. Lynn, why do you get on stage? What gets you what is your motivation to be on stage and to stay on, because this is a hard business. This is, but it's also, I see comedy as as a practice, is yoga for the soul, where it has healed me in ways that I never would have imagined. Being able to get up on stage and talk about my nightmares turning into my fantasies and just shedding light into those dark corners has healed me more than any therapy session or sofa. So there's that as well. For me, that's one of the main reasons. Like I love it as just a spiritual practice, as a yoga for the soul. Lynn, why do you get on stage? What motivates you?
Well, I'm a little more shallow than Pauline, so
that's okay. Look, I have Starburst right here. Look, girl, I love me some just sweet candy, non-nutrition. I also have like organic dates. So like there is a place for organic dates and Starburst, and both of them are right here. So no judgment.
I don't the organic dates.
Pauline's like, every woman can see herself in me. I'm over here like, I just want $1 million. Like that's all I want. I don't understand. No, but really, I was all, oh shit, I'll be that big of a person one day. One day I'm gonna get there. No. Okay, but on a
and there's
serious
nothing wrong with
note,
that too.
yeah, no,
See, this is the thing is honesty. Honesty. More
yeah.
people need to be honest and authentic, and that's why you are such
Oh
a
my God.
superstar. I love that honesty. She's
Yeah.
like, give me them Starbursts. I want the
Give me the
$1 million.
Starburst.
No. But you can eat your dates over there, Jew. Go eat your dates and be wholesome and organic over there. Talk about your mission while I eat some Starburst.
Iggy, you crack me up. That's so funny.
This is so much fun. This is so much fun, ladies.
No.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's be serious. So no, so I for the first time in my life, I actually found something I'm really good at. That I'm really. I mean, I'm a good actor too, but for comedy, I can be myself. I don't have to work with anyone. I can write. I can perform. Like I said, I'm an introvert, so not having to work with anyone is like a major plus for me. And then on
You
top
got that
of
book
that,
that I told you.
I just bought it. I bought it today, called Quiet.
Tell the power of quiet.
Yeah. The power of quiet. It's about introverts and what people in society are missing out on about introverts, because we're not all like, look at me, look at me, look at me, all the time. So some people, they miss us. I get missed all the time from, I get outshined all the time by like loud, high energy comics. It's the story I tell myself, by the way. It may not be true, but that's the story I tell myself. So anyway, Iggy, I texted that to Iggy, and he recommended the book called The Power of Quiet by Susan Cain, and I bought it today. So I'm waiting for it to come in.
Oh, good.
But,
one of my friends got it to me because they just wanted me to shut up. They didn't know it was about. They were just like, you need to be the power of being quiet. There was no being. It's the power of quiet. They thought it was the power of being quiet, and they gave it to me thinking that I would read it and I would just like stop talking so much. But no.
You're like, I just wanted to review this book.
But then when I read it, and I was like, oh, quiet people are very powerful. I need to be scared of them.
Yeah. I was loud when I was drunk in my 20s, but that's besides the point. But no, but I think honestly now I think about finances a lot because I'm a single mom. So if I found something that I'm really good at and I can learn how to make money from it and live my dreams, that's what I want to do, And I have this like everyday woman thing about me where other people watch me and they're like, oh, I can do that too. So on the organic date side of everything, I do want other people. We're there. Yeah, there. I do want people to.
I should not eat that on camera. That is not
look,
cute.
Yeah. And be like, oh, average lady. I can do that. I can go on stage and live my dreams or whatever, So, but money first. I need that money.
See, I don't have a child. That's the thing. If I had someone to support, I support my family.
Yeah.
But if I had, they're grown and I just help them. But there's a difference between someone who's grown that you're helping just like, prop up versus someone that you're like helping grow and flip. There's a difference between helping someone from falling down and helping someone completely build from the ground up. And that's another responsibility. So I think I would be more like hustle if I had that child. Pauline, what are the major milestones in your career? So the comedians that are watching is a lot of young comedians and other misfits that are in the studio that are newer to the game. What are some of the major milestones? When you hit those milestones, you're like, yeah, I made it. And the next day you're like, oh no, I got a long ways to go.
I still feel like I got like a long ways to go.
But you've had some moments where you're like, I made it, like World Series of Comedy, the thing where you were like, yes, I'm on my way. I don't know.
I think those are like more personal things. I mean, yeah, I think it was, for me, like a big one was like when the first time you do a competition and you do really well, like that's, that just makes you feel like, oh, okay, so then my comedy isn't just friends and family who are laughing, like other people like appreciate it as well. Like, okay. I think another one was probably, when, see, I think like the thing is all you hear about, I feel like, are like these like, oh, comedy, like I did this, I did great. And I'm like on this rise, like I did all these competitions. Like I do remember very early on, like I think I've been doing comedy maybe even less than a year. It was maybe a year right around. And I somehow I turned in some clips or something and I got booked on this like Netflix show. This was years ago though. So Netflix was not big in terms of like comedy. And so I had to do like 15, 20 minutes. I don't think I had 15, 20 minutes to be honest with you at the time. But I did it and it was like, and I got paid, but it was like so bad. It was like so awful. But I mean, it was, I guess, a milestone because it was the first thing that I had ever
got paid for.
I don't know whatever happened to it. I never saw it.
It's so funny because I did Judd Apatow's masterclass during this pandemic. I signed up and I've just been like taking in all these like master classes and thing. And he talks about script writing. And he's like, what happens after the first time you write your script? That's when you start writing your second script. And then you write your third script. And too many people sit there and run around town with their first script thinking that it's just gold. Where it's like, no, after you got your first 5 minutes, that's when you work on your next one. And then and it's understanding that it's a process and it's cumulative. And it's not like, oh, I did this and then I run around trying to, and then exactly what happened. But wait, I don't know if I have 15. I don't know how I have to, So, but understand that process.
I mean, I think in terms of the biggest milestone, I think it was like in 2019, right before the pandemic and everything, all that craziness, is when I did the San Francisco comedy competition and I made it all the way to the finals, because it was a competition that I had been wanting to do for a really long time and I never felt like I was ready. So I'm like, I'm going to wait. And so every year I'd look at it and I'd be like, I'm going to sign up this year. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready. And I feel like I waited, but it was a good thing to wait. I guess that would be my recommendation. Like, don't, even when you think you're funny and you're great and you're hot stuff and everything, like, let it, like sometimes you just need to wait because sometimes you only get that like one. You can do the competitions many times as you want, but a lot of the times, like when you're putting yourself in front of these people, like this will be their one chance to see you. That's your first impression. Yeah. So like you really kind of want to come out in some cases with like your guns blazing. Like you don't want to burn that bridge. So even when you think you're ready, maybe you're not. Like
but it's like I tell people that because I'm like, before you knock on the door, you better be ready to walk through.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times when it's like, I'll knock on that door for students or forever. I'm like, I'll knock on the door for you, but you better be able to walk through without tripping and falling. Cause then now I look like the ding dong that lets you ring the doorbell. I should have just kept you off the grass and not even let you on the property. And I'm the one who let you into the gate and thing. And now I'm the ding dong. So no. And I love that. Lynn, Pauline, monologues. Strong women, female influences in your life, or perhaps they're your mother or your grandmother. What have they taught you? And then what would you say, again, what I love what just Pauline said, to her younger self or younger version, make sure you're ready before you knock on that door. What other strong messages have the strong females in your life given you or told you that you'd like to share? Lynn, go ahead. You girl.
Okay, so my dad left when I was 15. So my mom was a single parent and she always made it happen no matter what. Like even if she had to have a 1-bedroom back house where my brother and I shared a room and she slept next to the kitchen and we were so poor that there were roaches everywhere and all that, So my mom always made things happen and she always found resources and she never like really complained to us, and my brother was bipolar schizophrenic or is bipolar schizophrenic. Yeah. So she took care of him all the way till the day she passed away. She had a stroke, etc. So what my mom taught me was, fuck them all. Oh, excuse me. I'm
sorry. She tries so hard.
I tried so hard. I made it so long. Yeah, just F them all.
The dimples let you get away with it. The little dimples they let you get away with it. Yeah. When I say it, people are like, but you can do it. It's the dimple.
They're like, oh, so cute. She got so cute. So that's what she taught me. And that's what I've carried with me throughout my whole life, And that's what I would tell my younger self. F them. Do you.
Do it with dimples. Do you with dimples. Love it. Pauline, do you with dimples. Because they going to forgive you. Well, Pauline, what's your monologue?
My mom is she is crazy. I mean, if there's anyone who inspired my comedy, it is my mom. She is full on train of crazy. Like she's nuts.
No
like
idea
she
what
tells
you're
like
talking
the
about.
most. She tells the most insane stories about like when she was in Korea, when she moved here, about like, you know, it's so wild and insane. You're like, it has to be made up. Like there's no way it can be true. And then you like dig up a little dirt and you're like, oh my God, it's like 80% true. There's just 20% fudging, but like a lot of it is true. Like she's absolutely a maniac. She's insane. And so I think like her crazy, there's no way I would be doing comedy if it weren't for her, because whatever her crazy is, I have it too. And I know that like we're equally nuts. So
wouldn't it
crazy.
See, I don't like that word crazy because people call me it all the time. Like, and I was telling this all the time. It's like, they don't even have the decency to like do it behind my back. They like say it to my face. Just like, you're crazy. Igor's so crazy. This is crazy. And they're like, oh, I was hanging out with Igor. And you mean like Igor? You know that jazz hands thing that everybody does on, you know, on online Zoom comedy now? You always see the comments like,
oh yeah.
That's how people describe me. I saw it. I was walking into the Equinox in Hollywood and I saw something like, and then they were describing me. They're like, which Igor? Oh, Igor. And I'm like, oh, geez, so then I brought it onto the thing. But like, when I realized like, I don't like the crazy. What I realized is that for me, at least, I'm coming in at 4K, like major information, and they're still like on dial-up, and they just buffer out. And of course, no one wants to admit that their bandwidth is like this big. And so while they buffer out, and that pinwheel says, "Oh no, you're crazy because I can't handle what you're downloading." Yeah, we're the crazy ones that are giving you more than you can handle. I'm sorry, your funnel is too narrow, and you can't handle the bandwidth. But I don't know. Do you agree? Disagree, Pauline?
No, I mean, I think it's with my mom. What I love about her, she just has so much of this frantic energy. It's like it's contagious. Like that's why I have it, and I think that's why she's been working at the LA Convention Center for like 40 plus years. Everybody there adores her, but it's because she has this like energy where she's like, she doesn't care. She loves telling stories. She's off the wall, like, and she has no filter at all. Like I have like a huge filter. She has none whatsoever. And it's just, but I think it's like, it's very, like people love it. It's just something that I think people are attracted to. I mean, you can call it crazy, you can call it insane or whatever you want to call it, but I think there's something truly like magnetic about those types of personalities. Like people say they want to hate it or they don't like it or want to hate on it, but truly, I think it's something you can't deny that you love. You know, it's this amazing,
it's like nuclear like power that, you know.
Yes.
The hard part is when you're a nuclear generator, sometimes the rods don't go down and you go Chernobyl.
Exactly.
Like you just, you got to be able to you got to be able to control it slightly. Moving forward, as you know, the pandemic is lightening up. I noticed that the pandemic this is a moment that I had. I was doing a bunch of comedy shows and I'm on the 5 and it's just backed up. Like it's just backed up. And I was like, first I was like angry. I was like, traffic. I was like, oh, this means the pandemic must be getting over with.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and then I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what's worse, homeschooling children or getting stuck on the 5 and taking 5 hours to get to Los Angeles from San Diego. Because remember when there was like the moments in 2020 where you just like cruise down?
Yep.
Those are over. They're over. They're over. As we move forward, what projects are you working on, Lynn? I know you have a book out. Pauline, do you have any shows coming up? Tell us what's going on in the future for you.
I want to hear about Lynn's book.
Yeah, Lynn, tell us what your book.
Oh my God, the book. Okay, so just quickly, I told Iggy, I'm like, I don't really promote the book because
Stop. Not gonna let you finish that sentence.
I know, but I want to tell them what you said.
Okay, good. No, because I was worried that you were gonna say
No. I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna tell them what you said and how I had the revelation. So I told Iggy I don't promote the book because it's highly mediocre. And then Iggy said, honey, McDonald's is highly mediocre, and I love me some nuggets. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to be McDonald's, but I do like their fries and nuggets. It's true, though. I mean, it's a joke, but what Iggy said is so true. Like, It's true because mediocre I think it's mediocre because of my daddy issues and perfectionist, whatever. But the
Mediocre is
world,
delicious.
yeah, the world is like, oh, but it's relatable, or they're like, it's easy to read, or it makes, it's easy to digest. So the book is called Badass Mom Therapy. It's about finding yourself in motherhood instead of losing yourself. And, just because you're a mom doesn't mean you have to give up your whole life to be a mom. You can be a mom and also live your dreams.
Here's
That's
the
what that's
link.
about.
Buy the
Yeah.
book. It is delicious. It is delicious and slightly nutritious. So it's a combination of Starburst and dates. It's delicious and slightly nutritious. You know the link. You know where to buy the book. Yes, yes, yes.
I don't think that book, just as a side, I don't think that book sounds high. That sounds like a book I need. Like, I don't know. It's amazing. Oh my God. You should be promoting that.
McDonald's,
you should seriously.
McDonald's of books. No. And we have a live. Are we promoting our stuff right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have a live. I have a live show tomorrow. There's a live show tomorrow in Anaheim. Just go to Linktree/Lin Sun TV. And I'm producing a live show in May 14th at the Comedy Chateau, North Hollywood.
I love it. So yeah, Misfit Toys. We are doing Wednesday, Nautilus. Thursday, the brewing company. Friday, we're at Knuckleheads in San Clemente. Saturday, we are doing the Sunset Cliffs show in Ocean Beach, and we're doing another show in Rancho Santa Fe on Sunday. And then we're taping. We're taping on Saturday. We're showing the process. We're doing our first reality show pilot, showing how this all comes together, what it takes to be a comedian, and what is the process of transformative comedy. And I'm super excited because we have several comedians that are flying in. We are meeting for the first time in live because we've only met each other virtually, and they will be getting on stage for the first time ever.
Woo-hoo.
And so it's been a year of incubation, and I'm very excited to see them get up and speak their truth. And then we have some other major artists I can't say right now because some of them are on Avail, but we have some other major artists that will be there. And but that's what's coming up with Misfit Toys Comedy. Pauline.
Oh, I don't have anything like a book or a television show. My daughter has to do some ADR work on a big movie. That's next week. I am doing a couple of shows. I don't know. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel. If I get like 5 subscribers, I'll actually put something on there because I haven't added something really funny to it in a little while because it's like such a long process putting stuff together.
Yeah.
But if there's people watching it, I'll put something up. I'll make something really funny. I have some ideas. I'm being lazy. Inspire me, people.
What inspires you? What inspires you?
Deadlines.
Yes. I'm dropping into the chat the different comedy clubs that we're doing. Yes. So deadlines, no, but so that's an important thing especially for comedians, setting those deadlines, like the competitions or the show, like having something. Otherwise, it's so loosey goosey. Having those, someone to hold you accountable. Definitely. I know that having that's why I love going to class. That's why I love MTC is because it gives everybody deadlines to show up and like this is what we're doing today, but this is what we're doing every week and to show up. Have you found it hard, Lynn, to show up for yourself?
Not really. No.
No, she's like, no. I got self-discipline.
You know why? Only because accomplishing inspires me. Like checking things off a list, like literally checking things off a list, that inspires me to do. So accomplishment, that's why. But don't ask me to like clean my house or wash the dishes. Seriously, that I won't do. Like I'll wait until there's no more dishes left, and then I'll wash the dishes. That's how terrible it is. But in terms of comedy and career, I'm on it.
I love it. Pauline, what do you let go? Like, what's the thing where you're like, I can wait till tomorrow?
Oh, I mean, it's the same thing. I don't know if it's an Asian thing, but I ain't cleaning either.
It's a mom thing. We're tired. It's a mom thing. Moms are exhausted.
I'm tired of picking up. I'm tired. I mean, tired of picking up after my kid, tired of picking up after my husband. I'm just tired of picking up. I don't want to pick anything up anymore. It's just like, just leave it. You know what? Who cares? There's no one coming over. I don't care.
I
And
love
if
it, I
someone's
love
coming
it.
over, it all goes in a closet. That's
Yeah.
it.
Do you have a hoarding closet, Pauline? Do you like have a
No,
room where you just
I
shove
live
it?
in a house. It's a hoarding house. You can hide everything has something hidden under it. Don't pick up pillows. Like it's a mess.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it.
Closet. The closet is not enough. It cannot
I know. That's funny.
I have a hoarding floor. So like the downstairs is turned into the hoarding floor. Like there's like 2 bedrooms. I just hoard in there and then I just close the doors. And everything upstairs is pristine. I just put everything into that. And then once someone opened the door, I'm like, what are you doing? That's secret, dark. That's the secrets. Those are all the dirty secrets. Like those boxes, the Amazon boxes are in there and all that's the secrets. That's the secrets. This has been such an amazing hour of fun. I'm like crying, laughing. It's been amazing. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Apka.
Thank you, Iggy.
And we will see you next Friday. Have a good one.
Yay.
Ciao.